Hello, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon and a warm welcome to our November webinar series. I'm Dr. Leong from the Diploma in Chemical Engineering, and I'll be your host this afternoon. In this webinar, we'll be able to gain insights into the chemical engineering discipline and the careers that one can pursue in the field. We have an amazing lineup of speakers this afternoon. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Lindsay Ling Ziyu, Senior Manager of Intern Singapore Manufacturing, Dr. Nicole Roy, Production Lead of MSD Singapore. Dr. Nicole is currently in a meeting and she will join us at about 2:30. Mr. Li Huangwei, who's our TP Chemical Engineering alumni. He has just completed his NS and is currently a trainee in Pure Singapore. And two of our existing Year 3 students, Mr. Ryan Koh and Ms. Dana Pinaluzon. So without further ado, allow me to start the seminar. We have Ms. Lindsay from Intern Singapore Manufacturing to share her experience.
Oh,
hello Lindsay.
Hi. Hello, hi everybody.
Hi.
I'm Lindsay. You don't need to. You can drop the formality. So I'm Lindsay. Sure. I'm actually a senior manufacturing manager now at Amgen Singapore Biologics Manufacturing. So basically, of course, so I started off myself as a chemical engineer, right? Sorry, I'm not sure, Dr. Leong, is it okay? Maybe I just give a brief introduction of myself.
Yes, definitely. Yes, please go ahead, Lindsay.
Yeah, but let me know if you are interested to understand anything more about the aspects of what we do at Amgen Biologics Manufacturing, right? Yeah, so I started off as a chemical engineering myself, and definitely. So I actually worked in this industry for more than 12 years now, in various companies, including pharmaceuticals, API, R&D, and medical devices, and of course biologics. So as I mentioned, Amgen Singapore Manufacturing is a biologics facility. So essentially, what we manufacture is really vaccines, monoclonal antibodies for sick patients. They may be cancer patients, or they may be patients who are actually terminally ill. So as a senior manager, I lead the manufacturing execution team. Literally, we actually run the processes on the floor. So maybe I'll pause here first. Dr. Leong, do you have any other questions that you want to find out more?
Yes, thank you, Lindsay. Always a pleasure to have you with us. So I have a question for you. So can you share with us the roles of the process technicians in the manufacturing of biopharmaceutical drugs?
Oh, sure, definitely. So process technicians, right. So maybe I'll actually start off first, right? We actually term them process technicians for graduates who actually graduate from Polytechnic. So for process technicians, right, how we actually bring them into their company, their main job role will really, of course, to help us run the routine operations on our production floor. So what do I mean by run routine operations? So I'm not sure how familiar you are with biologics manufacturing, but in the industry, right, for biologics manufacturing, we have got three main streams. We have got a solution prep function. By solution prep, we mean, this team actually help manufacturing team to actually prepare the buffers and media that's required to use for the process. So we have got the solution preparation team. We have got the cell culture team. So this team is quite exciting as well. They grow the cells, right, from maybe a small shake flask all the way to as large as maybe a 2,000 liter bioreactor. So after growing the cells, we actually harvest it. So this is also part of the cell culture team. After harvesting, we actually need to perform purification of the protein and the product. And this is where the purification team comes in. So what I literally just mentioned is that you realize that for biologics manufacture, in the industry, we cover the entire chain, the entire life cycle, I would say, of the product, from cell culture, from growing a cell, growing cells from the cell culture stage all the way to getting our final protein and purifying it. So this is comprised of mainly three main streams in the manufacturing execution floor. as I mentioned, solution prep, cell culture, and purification. Now, where process techs come in, right? Literally, you can go anywhere. You usually we'll start you off in the solution prep function first, just because it's slightly easier and less complex. And then once you actually get the hang of it, after 1 to 2 years, we can actually progress you on to cell culture and purification. Now, as a process tech, of course, apart from running operations, you need to be trained to be proficient, to know how to troubleshoot, know how to, I would say, monitor the process for consistency, and also, perform in-process analytical testing as required. So it's a fun job. It's very hands-on. You're always on your feet. Never a boring session. Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay. I had the pleasure of learning all this process from you when I just started out on this. So certainly, it sounds as interesting and as exciting from you as day one when I knew you. So my next question to you would be, what do you find most rewarding working in the manufacturing department and leading a department in the biopharmaceutical manufacturing area?
Oh, sure. Okay. So maybe I'll just start off in general, right? So what is it? What is in it for you if you actually join for a process tech in manufacturing department? In general, manufacturing as it is, right? We are the largest department in the company. And it's not just for Amgen, right? Any biopharmaceutical company that you go to, manufacturing actually, we are at the core of the business. We do run on shift, meaning it's a 24-hour, 7-day shift work kind of plan and a facility, right? So manufacturing department is the largest, and being so large and being at the core of the business, in general, the environment is very dynamic. And what do I mean by that? All other departments, like the engineering support team, QC, QA, process development, all the other departments actually rally around to support manufacturing executions team requirements. So this means that it's actually very challenging, right? Because also every day that you come in, you are doing something different. You're working on a different process step. And so I would say that working life is actually never mundane or boring here. You actually never get a dull moment. You come into work literally not knowing what will happen. And when when process deviate from expected, you immediately, rally the cross-functional support groups together to help to troubleshoot and investigate what went wrong, so that we can, immediately resume the process again. So in general, right, being in manufacturing, you find it very rewarding because you get exposed to and you learn all the nitty-gritty details, right, involving how do we actually run and produce a biologics product at the end. So as long as you want to, I realized that you actually don't ever get to stop learning something new every day. Most importantly, you are the one who's actually directly involved in producing the drugs for the patients who are actually waiting for it. This itself, I would think it's got to do, it's got to be the most rewarding thing ever working in the biologics industry. As for me, maybe just very briefly, being in the manufacturing leadership team, it's kind of different, right? Because I'm in a position whereby I'm able to strategize and set the direction that I want the manufacturing team to go towards. So personally, I actually find it most rewarding when I see the manufacturing execution team gain the technical knowledge and the required skill set over time. And when I see them develop from maybe fresh entry-level technicians to becoming a technical subject matter expert. Yeah, and maybe eventually becoming managers themselves. So managing such a large team is definitely not easy. We've got like maybe 130 people, but seeing the people grow and develop over time and seeing them being happy on their job is definitely very encouraging.
Thank you, Lindsay. I must say that I have a lot of admiration for what you are doing. It's a big responsibility on your shoulders, making drugs for patients, and I think improving the quality of life of people. Yeah. So at this point, I'd like to thank you and invite you to remain in the webinar while the other speakers share their story and towards the end of the webinar, we will invite questions from the audience, and I hope you can help to answer some of them and share more insights. Thank you.
Oh, definitely. Sure. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. So next up, we have our very own alumni, Mr. Li Huangwei. Huangwei is, as I said just now, just finished his NS and he's currently having a traineeship program at Pure Singapore. Hi, Huangwei. Thank you very much for joining us today. Hello. So, Huangwei, can you share with us what is it like to be working in the membrane technology industry for water purification?
So to begin with, working in this industry is actually quite unique in the sense that we are trying to innovate and help create a more sustainable technology to separate like chemical mixture at a molecular level. Instead, because the current technology is quite energy intensive in a sense to carry out this process. And working in this membrane technology industry also like help me gain a lot of exposure to other discipline of the subject like material science and etc. Because currently we are creating our own membrane at Sepure. So as a trainee, I observe a lot of these different processes throughout the way, and like it's very nice for me. And from a chemical engineering background, right, is like the knowledge gain is actually quite enriching for me. And as a trainee in this company, right, is actually there's a lot for me to learn. So it's like a step-by-step process. Yeah. And in membrane technology, there's still a lot of things unknown. So throughout this process in this company, right, we do research, mainly research, and have to conquer the problem on our own. Yeah.
Thank you, Huang Wei, for sharing the insights. I must share with you that how proud I am to be speaking on this platform with you. I think it seems only yesterday that I was only talking to you on membranes and separation. So I'm just curious, how has the chemical engineering diploma prepared you for this industry and this current job role that you have?
So like in TP, right, chemical engineering, the diploma actually provide me with a basic knowledge to like have the courage to go into this industry. So but there's still a lot more for me to learn because it's like chemical engineering, from what I learned, is just covering the base only. Yeah. And there's a lot more in terms of like non-core module also. Like actually the core module prepare me more in terms of knowledge, and those non-core module actually prepare me to go like from day to day work life or that. Yeah. And actually having a diploma background, right, actually helps a lot in terms of like understanding what's going on from day to day process. And like there isn't much there's a lot of things that I still need to learn even though I have a background. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much, Huang Wei. So what do you like most about your current job? Can you share with us?
So what I like most about being a trainee here is that because we are trying to like come up with a more sustainable solution. So it's more like a R&D process throughout this, and so every day is like trying to learn new things and trying to find out answers to overcome our questions. So like day to day or like every bi-weekly we will have like meeting. So during this meeting is actually quite knowledgeable for us because we share our findings and we are able to read like articles from other like from different unis or like different companies to help us with our troubles and overcome it. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I think it's great to know that you are developing in the area of membrane technology, and I look forward to the day that I can invite you back again to speak to our existing students on membrane technology and how sustainability is an issue that should be addressed for future generations. Yeah. So thank you very much, Huang Wei. I will invite you now to please wait at the backstage, and then while we have other speakers share their insights. Thank you, Huang Wei.
No problem.
Next up, we have Dr. Nicole Roy, production lead from MSD, to join us. Dr. Nicole?
Hi, yeah.
Yeah, glad you are
Hi.
able to stream in. Yeah, thank you very much for the rush. Yeah.
Yeah, after
So,
some technical difficulties.
no problem at all. We are very glad that you can join us today. So, Dr. Nicole,
Okay, sure.
you are also involved in biopharmaceutical manufacturing. Can you share with us some of the important skill sets a process technician should have in the industry?
For me, right, I feel that, being a chemical, if you have like chemical as a chemical like engineer, or like you have chemical background, or like chemical engineering, or even like engineering background, right? I think it's okay to join us as a technician. So we do welcome, like it'll be an added advantage lah. So it's a good to have but not a must have.
I see. So you have been the supervisors of our interns in your department. So can you share with us what is it like to be an intern in your production department?
Okay, so typically when they first join, they have to go through all these mandatory trainings and site-wide trainings. But on top of that, right, we will have a project on hand already. So we'll give them a project, for example, like housekeeping. You think that housekeeping is like all these like rubbish job, right? But actually it's not, because housekeeping, right, is so important for our plant, especially during audits. So when the auditor comes, right, it's like the first impression. What is it like for example, if somebody visits your house, right, and then the first impression counts. Housekeeping is also very important in terms of cross contamination between the different areas, especially more so for multi-product plant. So
I see.
the previous intern, right, she was not only helping us on like housekeeping and like audit preparation, she was also given the task on like, so like for example, if we have a problem, like our tools are always missing, so people are not putting back the tools and all that. So you may think that it's a very simple problem, like just put it back. But actually, this is a real problem that we are facing, and so the intern was actually helping us to do like some of these standard work. So I'm not sure whether you're familiar with like the 5S. So she was also introduced to this technique and like a concept called the 5S, where they do like sort, set, shine. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, they were introduced to this concept called like the sort, set, shine, standardize, and sustain. So she was able to apply these kind of things into the task that was given, like
I
the
see.
problem.
Thank you for sharing. The intern that you are referring to must be Esther.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, so Esther did a wonderful presentation on 5S and on productivity improvement after she returned to school from the internship. And you'll be happy to know that Esther is also pursuing further education in the field of chemical engineering right now.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. So Dr. Nicole, I have another question for you. So what's the career progression like for a process technician in your production department?
So, for example, if if you just have a poly diploma and all this, you can join us as a farm technician. But if you for example, like Esther, right? You go on to do like a degree in chemical engineering or even like chemistry degree. So for me, I have a chemistry degree. So actually, the possibilities are endless. So in pharmaceutical, if you have a degree, right, in like chemistry or chemical engineering, it's an added advantage. So you can actually go. I mean, you can actually be an engineer in operations and or even in quality or even in engineering, depending on what your interest is. So for a process technician, right, with just a diploma, you can be a process technician. So as a process technician, you first start off as an associate technician, then you move on to senior technician, then lead technician. So I mean to progress, right? Because as a senior technician or a lead technician, right, you would need some amount of like leadership skills and all that. So
I see.
typically, so there was this success story where there's this guy who came in as just associate technician, and then he went on like within 8 years, he went on to become the director. Yeah.
Oh, that's very inspiring to hear.
Yeah, so like some of these things, right? I think it really like in my previous presentations, right? I was just emphasizing on attitude, lah. So I think attitude is very important in terms of how far you can actually progress.
Yes, indeed. I think attitude is a very important attribute for students, and is what we also emphasize a lot in our course, apart from imparting the domain relevant skill sets. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Nicole, for sharing with us your insights into the career path in biopharmaceutical manufacturing. May I invite you now to stay with the seminar webinar as I invite other speakers to share their stories, and please help us address some of the Q&A questions later on. Thank you very much,
All right,
Dr. Nicole.
sure.
Thank you. So ladies and gentlemen, you may be wondering, is chemical engineering only limited to the biopharmaceutical sector or the water purification sector? The answer to that question is, of course, no. Chemical engineering is a very versatile field, and it involves many different disciplines. And some of our speakers from yesterday's webinar, which you are able to access on YouTube, talked about the oil and gas sector and the semiconductor sector as well. So if you are interested, do check out those webinars. Ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to inform you that the Q&A platform is now open for you to post questions. So you see on the screen now that there's a QR code. You can also refer to the information on the scrolling banner at the bottom of the screen. So now we have heard a lot from our industry speakers and also our alumni. So next up, we have two current year 3 students in the diploma who have just completed their 6-month internship. First, I would like to invite Mr. Ryan Cole. Hello, Ryan.
Hello, Dr. Leong.
Hi, Ryan. Good afternoon.
Hey.
Thank you for joining us today. So you just had a wonderful internship dealing with everyday products in P&G. So can you tell us more about your internship in P&G, please?
Yes, so I have completed my internship at P&G Singapore, which is an American multinational consumer good corporation. So my internship experience was an eye-opener. My tasks throughout my internship were mainly associated with conducting in vivo and in vitro studies, taking biophysical measurements. So the biophysical measurements include like the VCR skin analysis, skin elasticity measurements, skin hydration, transepidermal water loss, and pH measurements. And these measurements can be helpful in like claim support for the company, and for different kind of cosmetics as well, and also can be used for better understandings for further studies and further developments. And additionally, for my projects that I was given in P&G, I had to perform literature research on very interesting topics such as like the human skin, menstrual cycle, shower product mildness, and etc., which was really very interesting topics and something different from the topics being covered in my course of study. So it was a really interesting internship experience for me.
Thank you, Ryan. So it's very interesting to hear that you actually talk about skin application, talk about some physiological response to the chemicals in your internship. So I'm wondering if you face any challenges for you to actually cope with a relatively new area apart from your normal chemical engineering discipline.
Yeah. I think initially at the beginning it was challenging to take on a very big concept on the human skin. It's very there's a very big concept behind it, and I had difficulty understanding and trying to put into application to what we are doing. But with the guidance from my supervisor and my school LO, I think it was easier to get through the process during the internship. Yes.
Thank you, Ryan. I certainly enjoy reading your internship report and hearing you talk about your internship in our previous interaction during your project presentation. Yeah. So with us today in the audience are prospective students who are considering chemical engineering as a discipline for them to pursue in polytechnic education. So what is your advice for these prospective students who are with us today?
My advice, I would say, is to understand, to be clear what your strengths are. Because for me, personally, I enjoy studying like science-related topics like chemistry, physics, even biology, which is part of chemical engineering. So this is the factor that caused me to choose chemical engineering. So I think understanding what your strengths are uh, will help you in deciding which course you should go and you want to go.
Thank you, Ryan, for sharing this. I also remember that from your year one days that you actually chose chemical engineering from the early admission exercises.
Yes,
Yeah, so I think you made up your mind right from the start that you wanted to do something related to chemical engineering.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ryan, for sharing. So we now have another student, Dana, to share her experience. Dana just completed her internship at the Singapore Refining Company on Jurong Island. Hello, Dana.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Hello.
So, Dana, you are in the final year of the course. So, can you share with us what are some of the highlights in the course for you so far?
Sure, Dr. Leong. There have been many highlights throughout my chemical engineering journey. So when I was in year one of the most memorable things was CCN Day, where I was the class representative and my class chose to make soap from scratch, and it was such an amusing experience to like choose what color the soaps were and even the scents. And then another highlight was when my group mates and I, for one module called Innovation and Entrepreneurship, decided to design a solar powered bag as our project. And at first, we were kind of thinking that maybe it would fail. However, we took it really seriously and eventually wound out its specifications and even materials that we need. And we got chosen unexpectedly to represent ASC for the annual Innova 8 competition. So when I was in year two, I think the biggest highlight yet of my course life was when I joined the chemical engineering interest group, which is niche, and I was the outreach representative. For someone who is very shy, it was such a huge leap for me because it was my responsibility to bring the chemical engineering cohort together while at the same time giving back to the community. So during that time, I actually organized many different activities for the community, such as Meals on Wheels, which is giving the elderly some food, and even science stations for little kids. And for more on like school wise, academic wise, I also joined the DRP, which is Differential Research Program. For my first research, we actually explored on how we can replace sand with other recyclable materials such as plastic in cement to make it more environmentally sustainable. And for my second research, we actually did the synthesizing of lemongrass as a natural insect repeller. So I think those are my highlights of my course so far.
Oh, Dana, that sounds like a lot of activities that you were involved in. I must share with you that the teachers actually enjoy seeing you develop from a shy student from year 1 and then all the way to taking leadership roles in year 2 and year 3. I had the pleasure of participating in the Meals on Wheels activity that you all helped to organize. And that was a very meaningful activity for me to be able to bring meals to the needy families. Yeah, so thank you very much for organizing the activity.
No problem.
So yeah, so I'm interested in your internship as well. So you just completed an internship in the Singapore Refining Company. So can you share with us what is it like to have an internship in an oil and gas company, and what is it like to be working on Jurong Island?
Sure. So actually, when I went there, I thought I was going to be something of like a technician, but I was mostly doing office work. But regardless, I was still under the operations department, which is basically ensures the safe and smooth operations of the refinery every day. So my job scope was actually more on training materials, something of like a document controller for the training materials. So my supervisor actually wanted to utilize my lack of experience, and I had to go through the training process myself. And at the end of it, I was expected to revise and rewrite the training materials if I see fit. So the first set of training materials I remember was from LMS, which is a course that every technician or new worker has to take when they come to SRC. It covers the basic topics such as distillation column, process and instrumentation diagrams, compressors, and pumps. And I had to rewrite that and stuff like that. And that was I felt like that was still kind of simple until we moved on to area specific units, or ASUs for short, because this is much more difficult as it dealt with everything from the unit process designs, process limits, its utilities, PNIDs, cause and effect charts, and even emergency procedures. And for someone who is trying to learn that and then rewrite and revise that, it was extremely difficult, but it was such a rewarding experience because I got to see like how everything in depth really works. And in addition to revising and rewriting, I am also allowed to create new documents and changing to the training program in SRC if I see fit. For an example, if I feel like there needs to be more assessment papers, I can just go ahead and create them and send them to my supervisor, and even say modify the training program for SRC. So knowing that my work actually has such an impact for future workers in SRC motivated me to do better.
Thank you, Dana, for sharing your internship experience in SRC. So thank you very much for sharing. We will now proceed to the Q&A segment of this webinar. So please remember to post your question on the platform provided if you have yet to do so, and the QR code and also the information for the Pigeonhole address is actually stated here in the scrolling banner at the bottom of the screen. So at this point, I would also like to share a bit about the chemical engineering discipline. So often people think of chemical engineering as related to chemistry, as the name implies, but you'll be very interested to find out that actually chemical engineering discipline involves many other subjects as well, many other disciplines. It is really a interdisciplinary course. So you not only do chemistry, you do as well. We do involve knowledge from physics, biology, and mathematics. So basically, we put all this knowledge together, and then we use it to solve problem in everyday operations, like what our industry speakers have shared with us this afternoon. So to answer the first question that we have in the pigeonhole, if I don't have chemistry background, will the diploma be difficult for me to cope? So if you don't have chemistry background, you can certainly join us. And for the first year, we will have foundation chemistry subjects. So you'll take up to 3 chemistry subjects in year 1 to help you learn chemistry. So don't worry about not having any chemistry background. We will actually provide you with the support and guidance needed to get up to speed with the rest. Thank you very much for that question. Okay, again, do keep those questions coming in as we address other questions as well. So the next question, I would like to invite Ms. Lindsay, Senior Manager of Amgen Manufacturing, to help us address this question. So Lindsay, are jobs in the biologics manufacturing all shift work? And what is the starting salary for a fresh diploma grad in this industry?
So for biologics manufacturing, right, I would take it that you're actually asking for process technicians. Process technicians, as I mentioned just now, they actually work on a manufacturing production floor to run routine operations. And if that's the case, yes, it is going to be shift work. So shift work means, it's a 12 hours rotating shift. However, in a way, it's actually quite good because after your shift, you go home and then you kind of shut up. So shift work is in a way good, right? Instead of working like Monday to Friday admin shift every single day, you work only like 15 days a month, and people actually like that. And on top of that, you actually get shift allowance for going on shift. So a lot of young people like that because with additional shift allowance, is money, right? A lot of them feedback that they actually like to stay on shift and they don't want to go back to admin. So what is the starting salary for a fresh diploma grad? So again, I will take the answer saying it as, you're asking the question if you are a fresh diploma grad going to be a process technician working on shift work in the manufacturing floor. Currently, it's around 2,800. That's a basic pay. Of course, it varies from company to company, so I'm not stating the same for all. And it'll probably change again by the time you actually graduate, right? So as I mentioned, that's actually the basic pay, but I realize that working in the industry is fun because with it comes with a shift allowance, which can be a few $100s, and then there's also, additional public holiday allowance and all that. So, a lot of money is a good job.
Thank you, Lindsay, for sharing. Lindsay, I have another question for you that came through our pigeonhole. So for this job, would a diploma in biotech be more suitable compared to a diploma in chem eng? I'm sure you have both under your charge in your department. So Lindsay, can you comment on that, please?
Okay. So the key difference, right, as I can see it, biotech is really more science-based. So in a way, you actually learn a lot more about cells and aseptic practices, how to prevent contamination and all that. Chemical engineering is more, I would say, technical because you learn about flow dynamics, how about turbidity of the cell culture, what do you run the cell culture bioreactor temperature at, and for purification, how does the chromatography column perform purification. So in a way which is more relevant, I would still like to go with chemical engineering because with chemical engineering, you actually learn the skill set to troubleshoot and investigate when a process goes wrong. And in this industry, we are quite highly automated, right? We use, state-of-the-art technology and equipment and all that. And with it, you have got all the valves, all the instrumentation. When you talk about instrumentation, valves, flow dynamics, process control is all chemical engineering. So I would think chemical engineering is actually more suitable.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay, for sharing your insights for these questions. So our next question, I would like to invite Mr. Ryan Koh. Ryan, could you share with us your insights into this? How do you prepare your portfolio since you joined us through EAE? How do you make it stand out? Yours certainly stood out. I can still remember your portfolio till today.
So yes, I have joined the diploma through EAE, and I think for my portfolio, uh, I I went to show my interest towards the course, to show my understanding in this course, and why I want to pursue it. And I think it's also important to show maybe your achievements in like important subjects. For example, because I did slightly better for my science uh, topics in my secondary school. So I think you can also show your achievements in the like your results, which can definitely help. Yeah, I think more importantly, show your interest towards the course. Yeah.
Thank you, Ryan, for sharing the insight. Okay, our next question, I'd like to ask Dr. Nicole. So how do you decide to further your studies first or join the workforce after completing your diploma? So Dr. Nicole, would you like to share with us your journey, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So how did you decide to further your studies first or join the workforce? So yeah, I actually did my PhD first, then joined the workforce after. So I
Go through like the poly route, I went through the JC route.
I see.
Can you hear me?
see. Yes, we can hear you, Dr. Nicole.
Yeah, okay.
So you went through, okay, I see you went through the JC route and then you went to further your studies before joining the workforce.
Yeah, correct.
Yes.
So how did I
Thank
decide?
you.
Sorry.
Yes, how do you decide? Maybe you help us. How do you decide to actually further your studies in PhD before joining the workforce?
Yeah, because I saw there was this article. I think at that time, right, there was this article that came out very timely to say that, because I've got a chemistry degree. So at that time, there was this article that says, oh, if you just got a chemistry degree, you end up washing test tubes whenever you go like research facility or something like that. So I thought like when I took on this scholarship and all that, it pays also. So I thought I might as well just do I further my studies first before going to the workforce.
I see. Thank you very much, Dr. Nicole, for sharing with us. Also like Mr. Mr. Lee Huang Wei to share with us what your insights on this question. What do you think? What makes you actually decide to pursue your traineeship in the CPO Singapore before or studying any further education?
So like what Dr. Leong said earlier, chemical engineering is actually very versatile. So it spans across a lot of discipline. And for me, because I did my internship in Singapore refining company in the oil and gas. So after these 2 years of NS, right, I actually wanted to explore more into this different type of industry before I further my studies to like see which discipline that I'm actually more interested in and want to develop my interest. And it actually helped me to pursue this my traineeship so that I get a chance to like explore another discipline like into membrane technology. So and it also helps build a portfolio in the process. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, thank you very much, Hong Wei, for sharing. I can understand your choice, and I think certainly in your generation, the path is actually there are many different options to choose from, and one such option is what you are taking to actually deepen your skills and find out your interest in a particular field before going for further studies in the area that you actually like in your work. Yeah, thank you very much, Hong Wei, for sharing with us. So the next question, it is known that there are a few other polytechnics in Singapore which offer chemical engineering. So does this course offer anything the other polys do not? For us, I think what we have in our course is like what Wang Wei has put it is we actually build versatility into our graduates. So we are a broad-based diploma, and we allow students to have a wide range of choice of the different kinds of industry that they would like to deepen their skills in, and they would like to explore a little bit more during the third year specialization. So, for example, we have heard from today, our speakers talk about biopharmaceutical industry. We do train our students to go into that industry as process technicians. We have also trained students, we are also training students to join the industry of the oil and gas industry, or as process tech, and also semiconductor industry. And these three industry, the biopharmaceutical industry, process, the energy and chemical industry, and the semiconductor industry, made up a large portion of the manufacturing activities in Singapore. And each of the industry plays a very important role to Singapore's economy. And you can imagine that because the course is so broad-based, and it's very, very wide-ranging. So it actually allows our graduate to move from one industry to another with the diploma in chemical engineering. So that's what we are doing right here in Temasek Poly in the diploma in chemical engineering course. So our next question, okay, I'd like Dina and Ryan to share this, and perhaps also Huang Wei can chip in. Okay, so for the alumni and students, what are your most memorable memories during your course of study? So let's go with Dana first.
Sure. During my course of studies, actually, I think what was the most memorable for me was when just during what they call that niche camp, because I have never been facilitator before, and I've been very, very shy, as I've mentioned before, and suddenly to be facilitator was something that's so scary and daunting to me. But eventually I got this surge of confidence, and I thought I was like the most outgoing during that camp, and that is something I'll remember for a long time. And also, I think memorable memories would be the entire year too, because now I have a leadership role, so I have to balance ACADS and CCA, and it was extremely stressful, but I remember still having fun. So I think year two is very memorable to me as a whole.
Thank you, Dana. What about you, Ryan?
I think memorable memories during my course of study would be maybe during year one, where it was tough to, because the topics being introduced to us were quite different from when we were at secondary school. So it was challenging, but it was also fun to learn together with your friends. Then slowly start to understand the concepts that are being introduced to us. And I think subsequently along the way, year two, year three, we get a better understanding on what will be facing us, and the linkage between the different modules that we are doing. So year one was very fun, learning the new topics together with everyone.
I see. Thank you, Ryan. So it's a nice mix of year one being memorable and year two being memorable. So next, on a personal note, I would like to pull in Huang Wei. Huang Wei, you are a student from my first ever care group. Yeah. So you hold a very special position in my heart. Huh? So can you share with us your most memorable memories?
So the most memorable part of being in chemical engineering is like the lecturers and all the tutors are very outgoing. So like whatever you don't know, right, you can just like speak out and ask them. So they won't like turn you down or what. So every lecture or like every tutorial session that I've been in, right, so wherever like there's a break in between, the lecturers always ask like, is there any question? So like everyone will just rush down, and the lecturers don't reject them, even though if the question is like very basic or make no sense, they will try their best to answer it. So like that's quite memorable in chemical engineering. And like the module we learn and all the lab session that we have, right, is actually quite enriching to us. Yeah, and life in TP is never a dull one, because like even though you are in chemical engineering, so you will have friends like from different courses as well, because of like your CCA or the secondary school friends that you used to have. So like you'll still mingle together. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much, Hong Wei, for sharing. I think one of my most memorable memories so far is certainly eating ice cream with you guys at McDonald's. I think the whole class was there. So that was really nice. Yeah. So thank you very much for sharing that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the webinar. So though we can't answer all your queries today, I think I certainly hope that this chat session has given you some ideas of possible career opportunities that you can explore if you join the Diploma in Chemical Engineering. We have our open house in January 2021. So do join us then. More details will be on our website very soon. We also hope to improve our future sessions. So please do help us by giving us your feedback, which you can provide at this site by scanning this QR code for the form. Once again, I would like to thank you for spending your hour with us. I hope it has been an enjoyable session for you. I would also like to thank the speakers once again for spending time with us and for sharing your insights in your careers and your journey in the chemical engineering discipline. Thank you very much and goodbye.